Thursday, Ute head coach Kyle Whittingham handed the keys to the Ute offense to 24-year-old Brian Johnson. The coverage Thursday basically ran along the lines of, OMG, he's 24. But there are other questions for Kyle and Brian. Will the Utes run the spread or a pro-style offense? Do they want pocket passers or running quarterbacks? Is this going to be an up-tempo team? And yes, OMG, he's still 24.
It's very exciting. You know, it's obviously a great opportunity. Fired up about it. You know, really appreciative of Coach Witt's trust in me to get this deal done.
You're probably 10 years younger than other guys who would be considered young offensive coordinators. What do you say when you hear that?
Well, you know, I've been young for everything I've done in my life, so it's nothing new to me. You know, I've always believed that, you know, hard work pays off. So, you know, you got to just continue to grind, keep working, and good things usually happen. You know, people are always, you know, going to say what they're going to say, and I really have no control over that. So the bottom line is I got a job to do, and, you know, we've assembled a great offensive staff to help get that done. You know, I've never been scared of anything in my life, so, you know, it's just a new challenge that life brings, and I'm ready for it.
What percentage of the plays did you call when you were quarterback?
It kind of just depends on the flow of the deal. You know, like towards the last 3 games of my senior year, when we started getting into it, it was, you know, within the system, you know, quite a bit of it was in my hands. So I don't know if you could put an exact percentage on it, but, you know, I know towards the latter part of my senior year, we had a lot on my plate offensively. We're going to build this thing around our personnel and get those guys the ball in space and make it go from there.
So when you say you're going to build it around the personnel, you're running the spread, you're going more pro style, it depends on which of the 4 quarterbacks emerges?
Yeah, you know, and I think that's why we got spring ball to kind of fine tune what we want to do to get ready for August and September. So, you know, it's a ton of talented players in this program. You know, John White, Devontae Christopher, Drez Anderson, Jordan Wynn. So, you know, we got some guys who played a lot of ball for us and understand what we're trying to get done. So, you know, my job is to put those guys in position to be successful. You know, I see us being very multiple on offense. I think, you know, we can have the ability to line up in a myriad of formations and personnel groupings. It's a ton of talent here. You know, obviously John White, Kelvin York, that allows us to run some 2-back stuff. And, you know, we have 4 or 5 receivers that we feel comfortable with putting in the game, have played a lot for us and have scored some points. And so, you know, I see us being very multiple on offense.
We've seen you quarterbacks very effective running the ball. We've also seen you quarterbacks get hurt running the ball, you a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Do you like the idea of the quarterback running the ball because you risk injury, but you also make the defense account for him? Which way do you lean on that?
You have to be able to run the quarterback in college football. You know, the way this deal is going, you know, the day of just being a statue back there is over. You know, you got to have some mobility, whether it's just pocket mobility, being able to move in the pocket and finding time to throw the ball, or escaping the pocket and being able to gain some stuff with your legs. So, you know, understanding that it's 2 different types of mobility for quarterbacks, you got to have a mobile guy. And, you know, I think Jordan has some, you know, excellent feet inside the pocket. His strength's probably not, he's not going to break and get you a 50-yard run, but he can slide his feet in the pocket and find the ball and get it to a check down. As you can see in this league now, it's all about quarterbacks, you know, and if you don't have one, it'll show and it'll hurt you. So you look at the top teams, you know, top 3 or 4 teams in this league, they all got NFL guys at quarterback. So we got to have Jordan step up and be ready to make plays for us and take us to the deal. And I'm excited about the 2 young guys we got coming in. You know, those guys, you just watched their highlight tapes yesterday. You could see that they got some athletic ability and can escape the pocket and get out of trouble.
Would you prefer to redshirt at least one of them? If they can get to 1 or 2 on the depth chart, then play them. But
I think it's too early to decide that right now. You know, you got to come in and see how they react in spring ball and go from there.
As a coordinator now, will you have less recruiting responsibilities? Will they stay the same?
You know, we're still in the process of trying to figure all that out. But, you know, like I told you before, this league, you know, it ain't about the coaches now. I promise you that. It's about the players, and it starts with recruiting. So you got to be able to get great players in there, and it makes your job a lot easier. So, you know, recruiting is obviously the most important thing that we do in this entire program.
What does passing game coordinator mean to you, since that's Roderick's new title and you're the offensive coordinator? What will he be doing?
Well, you know, A-Rod is obviously my right-hand man. We have a great relationship, and that goes back to 2005. So, you know, I've known Aaron for an extremely long time, and, you know, I really respect his knowledge and everything that he brings to the table for us. So, you know, he's a guy that's been around and he understands what we want to get done. And the best thing about it is that we think a lot alike philosophically, so we're on the same page 99% of the time.
Lots of coaches talk about playing at a really high tempo, and when we see Urban do it and we see Chip Kelly do it, we see the results. Other coaches, including people who've been here at the U, don't seem to stress it so much. What do you think of that?
Well, my philosophy with tempo, I think that the biggest thing that you can talk about is not necessarily always going fast or always not going fast, but it's the change of tempo is what causes defenses the most consternation usually. So, we played Oregon a couple years ago and they went fast, but Kalani did a great job. They had everything set, and as the game wears along, you kind of get used to them going fast. But I think once a team sees the offense change tempos, it's what gives them a little bit more grief.
You said you've done everything early, 17 at college and now 24 as a coordinator, head coach at 30?
We'll see. But, I think that's the reason you get in this business, is obviously to watch Coach Whittingham grow as a head coach and just kind of be around him. That's my goal one day is to be like him. That's who I model my entire coaching philosophy after. I've learned so much from him, not only about football but about life as well. And he's been a great mentor to me, these last 8 years. So I can't say enough about the guy. He's been great. So I'm looking forward to working for him.
And you can rent a car anywhere in a couple weeks, right?
Couple weeks, 2 weeks from today, I'll be able to rent a car anywhere. So Hurts can chill out with all that.
There's a certain percentage of the population that thinks Kyle just gave the offensive coordinator job to a 24-year-old. What is he doing?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have 100% of the people in favor of whatever you do, and so I don't think that's a factor whatsoever. The bottom line is, after conducting really what amounted to a nationwide search, and while recruiting's going on, which isn't the easiest thing to do, that's why it took the time it did. That's why when Norm first left, I made the statement that it'll probably take until signing day to get this thing wrapped up. But after conducting a nationwide search, it became very apparent that the best. Actually, two candidates were right here on our staff. A-Rod is a very good football coach, and certainly was one of the guys that was right there at the end. But I felt for our situation, our current situation, where I want to go, and the leadership that Brian demonstrated as a player. Was the better fit at this point in time.
So as the leadership you saw as a player, that's what really made you lean to him when you had 60, 70 other applicants? That's
one of the things. He knows our system. He knows what I'm all about, and we operate pretty. It's a very demanding. I'm very demanding as a head coach of the staff and what I expect, and it's not always a great fit, when you come from the outside. So that's one of the reasons I always prefer to promote from within if it can be done. Now, there's not always that opportunity. Sometimes that doesn't present itself. But if you can promote from within with a guy that knows the system, knows what we're all about, knows the expectations, I think that's more times than not a better fit. Like we all know, he's been the exception to the rule his whole life. I mean, he starts school when he's 5 years old, and boom, they put him in second grade right out of the gate. He skips first grade and kindergarten, and so and he claims that he was reading at 2 years old. Now I got to call his mom to find out if that's true. It sounds a little Uncle Rico-ish to me, but I'll check on that one. But he's always been ahead of the curve ever since he started school. Like I said, signed a letter of intent as a 16-year-old senior in high school. Was a starting Division I quarterback at 18 years old. So there's never a point in his life, I don't believe, that he hasn't been ahead of the curve.
Are you going to take some of the recruiting responsibilities off his plate, or does he hold on to all of those and still coordinate?
Yeah, typically you do take some of the coordinator's responsibilities, recruiting responsibilities off his plate and temper, how much he's going to be on the road and that type of thing, because you need him here preparing, for example, in December, especially when you got a bowl game you're getting ready for, trying to recruit at the same time. I don't like the coordinators to be on the road all that much, and so he will be scaled back a little bit in recruiting, but he's an excellent recruiter, so we're not going to take him completely out of the mix, but he won't have as much territory or as much time on the road as he did before.
As a head coach now, you've had different coordinators with slightly different philosophies. Do you want to go back to the spread, the pro style? Where do you want this program?
I think that's Brian's vision, and my stance with our OCs ever since I got this job is, hey, I'm a defensive guy. You have just about complete autonomy with what you want to do offensively. All I'd like you to do is take care of the football and score touchdowns in the red zone. As long as we can do that and be productive, then I'm good with that. But I know Brian, his preference would be to spread things out a little bit more, which we're going to do.
You know, with Aaron, it's kind of an awkward situation. He was the offensive coordinator and then moves aside for Norm, but when Norm leaves, he doesn't get it back. How does all that work out?
Well, I'll tell you what, Aaron was disappointed. He's a competitor. Aaron Roderick is a competitive individual, and he has every right to believe that he, could have been the coordinator or should have been the coordinator. And that's how I want him. If he just was, dismissed it and had no fire in him, then that's not the kind of guy we want working here. And so, that being said, he's also the ultimate team guy. He's on board. He's all in. And we've already had these conversations. And Aaron Roderick's a fine coach that's going to be a coordinator soon. I mean, that's my own feeling.